In the bone-dry desert outside Santa Fe, where the silence can feel deafening, stands a place so soaked in violence and sorrow that even the wind seems to whisper secrets. The Penitentiary of New Mexico, known now as Old Main, hides within its crumbling walls the deadliest prison riot in American history. Reconstructed in 1956 and later abandoned, the Old Main facility was meant to be a beacon of order from its first days. It became a theater of torment. Guards worked in fear. Inmates slept with weapons under their mattresses. The cells, meant for one, housed 3. In summer, the walls would sweat. In winter, they would scream from the cold. And somewhere in between, the line between sanity and survival vanished. Inmates overpowered a young guard, forcing their way into the control center. The radio lines went dead. Cell blocks unlocked like a floodgate bursting open. It didn't take long for the chaos to mutate into hell. 4 of the corpses were burned beyond recognition. Their names were never released. No families ever came forward. Whispers began about men buried in unmarked graves behind the prison. Guards refused to patrol alone at night. Some report hearing sobbing from the old showers. One even said he heard a blowtorch spark. It contained names, cell assignments, and the last-minute reassignments that placed known enemies side by side the night before the riot. That logbook was destroyed either in the fire or on purpose. Warden Jerry Griffin later claimed it was lost in the flames, yet not a single shred was ever recovered. It became a tomb for truth, a place where justice was shredded alongside flesh, where records burned and blood erased names, where some entered and simply never came out. Some believe it held the names of officials who knowingly orchestrated the chaos as a political sacrifice, turning prisoners into pawns to justify tighter laws and bigger budgets. Are the ghosts only traumas, residue, or something far more restless? And if you think this prison held dark secrets, wait until you hear what happened in Brushy Mount. Tapia will be waiting. When no tools had been checked out, paranormal investigators have since recorded unexplained cold zones and equipment failure near the execution site. And then there's the Tatana Lanaro hand-dug escape route buried beneath the West Wing. Officially, it never existed. Unofficially, it was built in the 1920s to smuggle liquor into the prison. But some believe it served another purpose, an escape path used during the riot by key instigators. Men never recaptured, deep beyond the maintenance shed. Guarded to this day by fences and cameras, grand jury files that could confirm the truth remain locked. When pressed, state officials repeated the same line: no comment, no knowledge. They look at the walls smeared with soot, the cells etched with desperate words, the echoes too loud for a place so empty. But the guards, those who survived, they never stay long. Many refused to speak about what they saw. Others died in silence, their sleep haunted by cries they couldn't stop. Gangs hunted rivals with blowtorches and metal rods. Fire rolled through mattresses. The chapel, once a refuge, became a battlefield. Screams echoed down the hallway, screams that wouldn't stop until bodies piled and blood flowed like ink in a ledger too full to close. It only took 36 hours. 33 inmates were butchered. Dozens more scarred forever, and that's only what the reports allowed the world to see. Gang tensions surged. Protective custody was a death sentence disguised as safety. Waterlines failed. Legal appeals were ignored. On the surface, the Department of Corrections spoke of reforms. Behind closed gates, torture became a form of regulation. But buried beneath the official numbers are screams that still echo, pages that were burned, and bodies that were never named. The prison was born in 1885. Built to tame the wild edge of New Mexico territory. By the late 1970s, the prison was a ticking bomb. One was tied to a chair and made to watch as inmates executed, others men burned alive, some decapitated, others When the National Guard finally retook the facility, the air stank of charred flesh and betrayal. But even more disturbing was the silence that followed. And then it happened. At 1 a.m. on February 2nd, 1980, the nightmare began. 12 staff members were taken hostage. Some were tortured. The riot officially ended with 33 deaths. But autopsy records, filed hastily and then sealed, tell a darker tale. And yet, the secrets kept bleeding out. Years later, an electrician filming a documentary inside cell block 4 claimed to have seen a man in a prison jumpsuit vanish into a wall, only to find out later that no actor had been hired for that scene. But perhaps the most horrifying secret lies in a missing logbook. Today, tourists walk through Old Main during guided tours. In the end, Santa Fe's prison didn't just house criminals. So what do you believe? Were the cover-ups real?